Hey guys, happy Wednesday to everybody. I wanted to pop on because I have received this question over and over again, most recently several times in the last week or so. So I thought it would be good to come on and actually answer, and I'm trying to do better about answering questions in a quickly timed manner for you. I'm hoping that will be helpful for you guys, so I'm trying to do better, I promise. So the question is, how did I get down to $1? And I have talked about this, oh gosh, numerous times, but is part of other topics that I have talked about, I think. So it's not like I've designated, I think, a full-on video to this. If I did, it's been a while, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to answer this question the best way I can. And to start off with, I wanna say this. This is not for everyone. And when I say that, I mean, the goal of getting down to $1 isn't necessarily the common goal amongst doll collectors or collectors of any kind. Collector by nature, the definition is collection of items, plural. And also to state a clarification that Monroe is not my only doll. She just happens to be the doll that I showcase on my YouTube channel and elsewhere and on social media. So the other dolls that I have, I do not share on social media, and they are just part of my private collection. So I do have a collection of dolls, so to speak. So I have more than one, but the one and only super high-end full-body silicone doll is indeed just Monroe. So to start off, I want to say that my all-time goal from the beginning of my collecting in the reborn hobby has always been to acquire the most realistic baby that looked like they could come alive and breathe. That's always been my goal. So when I got to a point in my collecting, during collecting mostly reborns, it was early on, I had gotten up to upwards of over 20 dolls at one time, which for me is, I can't even imagine it, to be honest with you. It gives me anxiety just thinking about it, sitting here. But for me, the moment that it was like a switch had been flipped in me, is that I walked into my doll space at the time, and I literally all I could see is just dolls everywhere, and I just immediately shut my doll room door and was like, no more. Something's gotta change. It didn't make me happy. It actually gave me anxiety where I didn't wanna go in the space because I had just too much in there. I didn't know what I wanted to spend my time with, and I had baby clothes coming out, every place it could possibly be, and it was just being overwrought with stuff. And for me, being more of a minimalistic type of person, even though I may have a lot of things, they all need to have their place so that I know that it's organized, I can see what I have, and then I can focus on something I want to spend my time on, and it just makes it easier for me to fully enjoy said hobby. Now I collect other things, and I have every bit of those things organized, so it had to kind of follow through in my doll collecting as well. And so, like I said, that's why I say this isn't for everybody. A lot of people like to have a lot of dolls, and that is absolutely fine. And that's why I'm always saying in my different videos, like, there's no wrong way to collect or no right way to collect. Everybody collects in their own way that makes them happy. If your way of collecting in the hobby makes you completely thrilled, then it's the right way. So me sharing this is just simple ideas for those that really do want to scale down the number of dolls they have. What that magic number is going to be different for everybody. And that's why I don't want this to be misconstrued like I'm telling people they should have less dolls, because that's not the case at all. It just happens to be my way. It's whatever I'm comfortable with, and then I'm sharing with you how I got to that point. So a lot of theories are that, okay, so you want to get rid of a couple of dolls, you just don't know which ones. So, I've had friends tell me, Joe, put it in a box, put it away. And I've even given the same advice to my friends when they're not sure what dolls they want to keep and what dolls should go. So that doesn't work for me. It might work for some people. Okay, that's fine. But for me, I had to make a decision. And once I make the decision, something in my brain says, okay, we're ready to go, doll has to go, and then it's done, out the door, don't have to worry about it. If I sit and think about it too long, I can talk myself in or out of most anything, and that includes getting rid of a doll I need to move on, simply because, well, it's cute. We can all take that stance because they're all cute. But how I look at it for my purposes, for minimalism, is that if I don't spend a regular amount of time with the doll, then the doll shouldn't stay. Someone else should enjoy the doll. And that's always how I've thought about it. I don't think about it as just I'm selling a doll, I'm getting rid of it, and that's that. I look at it that I'm actually allowing somebody else to enjoy the doll, be the doll's next mommy, if you will. And that makes it easier to part with some of the tough ones that I was really attached to. So when, especially like say you're looking to potentially buy a more expensive doll and you need to sell a couple others to make room and find the finances for that new doll, the best way that I can look at that situation is that someone else gets an opportunity to enjoy my beloved doll that I was lucky enough to enjoy for a period of time. You know, I always look at my doll adoptions, if you will, as, you know, it's time spent with me, but then they move on to another family. It sounds kind of silly, but it helps me part with them without having these attachments to them. And, you know, people have always commented when I have quickly sold a doll and brought a new one home. Like, for instance, when I brought Monroe home, I parted with Lucy. I had a lot of people that were very, very attached to Lucy. They could not wrap their brain around, how could I have gotten rid of that doll and how could I have brought this other one in, and you did it so fast, you know, it was like whiplash. I've had all sorts of comments about that. How I was able to do that is because I knew somebody else out there wanted to love and enjoy Lucy, and I gave them that opportunity. So that in itself made me happy that someone else would be so excited to bring her home and give another collector the opportunity to enjoy how beautiful that baby is. And that made it easy for me to do. Now, could I do that with Monroe right now? I don't think I could. I'm very attached to Monroe and I haven't gotten to the point where I'm ready to let her go yet, but it doesn't mean it won't happen in the future. That's, you know, we never know what the future brings. That is the trick of this. And our feelings can change from one day to the next, and that's also the trick of it. So for me, once I make the decision, the doll goes, I don't think again about it. It's very rare that I've ever really thought about a doll once the doll has left me, especially if the new mommy that receives the doll is super thrilled. That makes the break of that connection super easy for me. And that's really been the case for 99.9% of the dolls I've sold. And, you know, for the occasional ones that I was like, maybe I shouldn't have parted with them, here's how I address that in my brain. I always know that even if it's a hard parting of ways with a doll, there's always something better coming down the road for me. Meaning, like, even if I feel a little weird about letting a doll go, I know something else is coming my way, and it always has happened. Hands down, the less I stress about it, the more is available to me. And I know that sounds odd, but it's the truth. I have had some of my best dolls when I have least expected it, when I've not been searching for them, and they've, you know, kind of landed in my lap, so to speak. So I understand that as hard as these decisions might be, there's always more dolls out there. And that's really how you have to look at it. It's a huge community with a lot of collectors constantly buying and selling, and artists are putting out new work all the time. So there's always gonna be another doll. There's never gonna be a time where you won't find any doll ever. You might go through a period of time where you don't love everything you have, but something else will come your way. So if you stress about every doll you part with, well, it's unnecessary stress. That's how I look at it. It really is. And so it's worked for me. And yes, you're gonna have to make tough choices. If you love a lot of your dolls and you know it's hard for you to part with things, you know, start with one. And I can tell you that the first one is the hardest. Once you get through the first couple of doll sales to pare it down, it starts to feel really good. Purging is actually a very healthy thing. And it starts to feel good because you feel less overwhelmed with the number of dolls that you want to give your attention to. It makes it easier to focus on those special dolls that you really, really love. And it also, here's the number one great thing about it, is it frees up cash to potentially buy a newer, better doll. And that's also why it's worked for me. Let's face it, like, you know, when I've bought and sold dolls enough, it's easy to sell them when you're trying to buy something new. When you have your eyes set on something new and maybe an upgrade to something you had, it makes it easier to really sell on the dolls because you need the funds. So that's also how I look at it. And then I implemented, once I got down to a really good number of dolls that I was comfortable with, I kind of set this rule in my nursery and I've stuck to it for a long time and it's worked, is that if I want to bring home a new doll, one has to go, and sometimes more than one had to go in order for me to actually finance the new doll. And so once I implemented that and really stuck to it, every single time I bought a new doll, one had to go, at least one. It kept it under control, and I followed my own rules, but the key is you have to follow your rules if you set them. And it can be hard to do, especially if you go, oh my gosh, I really want this doll. Sell one to bring one in. If you keep on that set schedule of rotation, it does make it easier to, one, have space for a new doll, but two, not have to spend as much money because you're, recouping some of the investment you've got in the current dolls you have, if that makes sense. So that's really how I go about it, guys. I am kind of extreme because of the fact that I'm OCD, so it helps me kind of keep myself in check, and so I know that's not going to be feasible for a lot of people out there. But if you set yourself some rules, like rules of the nursery, rules of new dolls coming in, then if you follow them, I promise you, it's actually much easier to keep it at a reasonable number that you feel comfortable with if you just stick to those rules. And I've done it for many years now, it's been a long time since I made that choice. And it's been a good choice for me, but I will repeat myself again at the end of this video. It's not for everybody. The goal isn't to tell you how to get down to one doll. My goal really is for you to take in some of the information I'm sharing, and if it helps you pare down what you have to just a lesser number, even if it's one less, you've achieved your goal. So, like I said again, there's no wrong way to enjoy the hobby. You have to do what makes you happy. And that's really the bottom line. Us YouTube channels can put out all sorts of information, but if it's not for you, then, it's just information out there. So nobody expects someone else to do exactly what they're doing. Just because it works for me doesn't mean it's gonna work for you and then it's gonna make you feel good. It may actually make you feel worse if you have less dolls. So I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to share how I did it. And if it's something you have a goal of, achieving within your doll nursery, then maybe you can apply some of the things I've shared with you and maybe it'll help. So that's it for me today, guys. I hope that answers the question. I hope that it's, helpful information for you. Yeah, and it's about ready to storm, so it's very dark outside right now, so I'm waiting to see some sort of flash of lightning in the background. But anyways, I hope you're having a great week, and I will see you guys all very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.